Okay, right, hello. This is a guidance video in how uh, the inventory should be filled in. Uh, the inventory is basically what we're doing is property inventories. The idea is to capture the property information as easily as possible for someone to understand, and for that reason I've been using Microsoft Word, and I've been capturing each property zone, i.e. the room or area, within tables. So for example, this in the middle, you see this table, uh, in the top row is the title. So for example, it would be the front of property, or the bathroom, the kitchen, the reception. It could be anything, and this is set at heading 1, so it can easily be come up automatically in any contents pages that we'd like to create. These are just subtitles. So numbers is just numbers 1, 2, 3, and they go onwards until the end of the property. It helps with the checkout when they are carried out in numbering each zone of the property. The area itself is where the rooms is broken down into different zones. So for example, the floor, the skating boards, walls, wall fittings, ceiling, window, ceiling fittings, etc. The description is where we write the description of what that zone is. So for example, the floor might be a brown, have carpet, a brown carpet, that brown carpet. Okay, so the wall might be painted over in magnolia, so we write magnolia painted. The condition of the wall might be marked to lower sides. The floor stained in places. Where the voice file mentions nothing in terms of the condition of each zone, leave that area blank. So for example, if it mentions something about ceilings, the condition is where only defects essentially are mentioned. Any defects or anything that is to note of this zone of the property. So if anything is to be mentioned about the floor, include it in the floor row, or anything of skating boards or anything of windows, mention it within there. In the windows column, we include the window and all window dressings. In the wall fittings column, we include anything in the wall that is essentially fitted to the wall, or that would constitute as a wall fitting. So could be a light switch, a radiator, even fireplaces, any heating elements or anything like that that are within the room. The ceiling or ceiling fittings. The ceiling could be painted white. You might have a ceiling rose, so you add that there. Any ceiling fittings are mentioned in ceiling. Ceiling fittings might be lighting, smoke alarms, even PIR sensors or carbon monoxide alarm or anything like that, or whatever is mentioned there. Storage cupboard, these are small spaces that might be connected to the room but not the room itself. So a storage cupboard, any information including doors, wall fittings, ceilings, anything within the storage cupboard will go in this field. So everything from skating boards, flooring to doors, everything, and whatever condition is mentioned as per the storage cupboard, or any of its content that is mentioned in the description will go in the condition column within the same column, and the same would apply with where airing cupboards are mentioned. You can see this page itself will be sent to you as to help give some guidance. So what I have done is created templates for each room. These are rough guidances. So front of property elevation, anything that is fitted on the property elevation. It might be a burglar alarm, power box, could be a door number sign, or anything like that. Front door and front door fittings, this is just the door and its fittings. Again, as mentioned before, this is what the item is in the description and the condition of the item. We only note down the defect that is mentioned within that item, and for whatever item it is mentioned, you write it in the correct field. For example, if a garage is mentioned at the front of the property, add a column, call it garage, and mention whatever is mentioned of the garage, its doors, its floors, walls, ceiling within the same description field, and whatever defects are mentioned for that garage in the condition field. Again, ground floor, hallway, WC, these are possible areas that or sections that each property might have a reception, dining room or conservatory. This is just the same template, so one can simply just copy paste this. So if you were using this and you were looking to add a reception room, say if it was a reception room, you copy paste that, you add a door, you say if it was a wooden white painted door with a chrome lever handle, it's got nothing wrong with it, nothing was mentioned, so you leave it blank. The floor, it's a laminate floor with wooden edging bead, has signs of wear as well. Another thing, in terms of the voice file, you don't exactly have to write down in these fields verbatim, word for word, what is mentioned. But you have to remember the person who is given the voice file has talked into a dictaphone while inspecting the property, and while they are being considerate in that voice file will be typed down. It's not always possible to speak in a manner that is always possible to be written down verbatim in report format, so you will have to use some level of discretion in terms of using, if needed, use your own words. So if the word file say has signs of wear, you don't have to write has signs of wear like here. You can just leave that has, write surface scratch marks in places and signs of wear. The same would apply in the other rooms. So the kitchen, not all kitchens might have a washing machine, so if you don't need the field, simply delete it. Again, with the staircase might have, some staircase and landings might have an airing cupboard, some don't, so if it's not needed, simply can delete it. Or if one is needed, like for example in this template, nothing is mentioned of a storage cupboard. So for example, you might come across a staircase and landing which has a storage cupboard and a airing cupboard. So you simply add another row, add storage cupboard, and you mention whatever is mentioned in there. Or these templates are fairly flexible in terms of these rows. One can add and delete from them as per the requirement of each room or the voice file that is being listened to. So the bedroom itself is fairly simple. But the ensuite itself, but ensuites, bedrooms with ensuites need to be put in the same table. The bedroom will be on the top section of the table, and the ensuite with a small separator as highlighted over here, and its room content will be, and its information will be inserted with the same as other rooms, but within these fields. Again, the bathroom. Again, like I mentioned, these columns over here are fairly flexible where it's needed. Not all toilets might have a bidet, so if you don't need it, you can delete it. But if you do need something and it's not already present within the template of that room, you can simply add it. So rear property, external storage, rear property, property elevation. Again, this is what is on the wall of the external brickwork of the property. Rear properties, it might be just a garden, so it might be lawn, concrete slab, paving, etc. And its condition over here. Paving is uneven, etc. So, like I said, these fields are slightly flexible, but however, the general idea is to capture, write the information within these table formats. So, kitchen is one room, one zone of the property, and of that kitchen, each section of the kitchen has been broken down in these columns. So, for example, the door, floor, skirting boards, walls, work unit, sink, extractor hood, etc. And then in the description column, like as mentioned, we had mentioning what type of, for example, in the door, what type of door is it? Is it a wooden one? Is it painted white? And then in the condition column, we are writing about that area, the defect of that area. So the door, if it's good, clean, and there's nothing wrong with it, and nothing is mentioned in the voice file, leaving blank. But however, if any defect is mentioned for the door, then you write that defect in the condition column. And there's nothing more to it.